Winging it may work at Hooters, but it is not going to work in real life. Today, we're going to discuss the art of practicing your presentations ahead of time so you can avoid bombing the show. Hey, lady bosses, are you working even after putting the kids to bed but still not getting results?
Are you tired of spending money on ads that aren't getting engagement?
Do you feel burdened that you aren't fulfilling your purpose in life because you are so consumed with work?
I'm your host, Brooke Boltz. I'm an attorney and founder of Boltz Legal. I started my business and in 1 year was bringing in 7 figures and am now bringing in multi-7 figures.
And I'm your co-host, Rachel Boltz, owner of Boltz Media. I've helped many businesses build their online presence and increase their revenue through digital marketing.
Want to hear how we did it?
We are here to help you achieve your goals personally, professionally, and spiritually.
So kick off your high heels, sit back, and let's ignite that passion.
We're Miss Biz, where we're putting the miss in biz.
Let's get biz done. You may not know, but there is more than one type of winging it. The first type is when you just never put a thought into what you're going to say and you stand up and say something. That is type 1. Type 2, which is more, I think, what we're talking about today, is when you have put thought in. You've planned and prepared. You've maybe written an outline. You know your content really well, but you haven't actually spoken it out loud before standing up in front of an audience. And then when you do stand up, it doesn't come out like you had hoped.
And people can always tell when you haven't practiced something. There was one occasion where a BNI director came to our chapter, and after the meeting, he stayed with me to convey that he thought it would be in the best interest of our chapter members to practice their 45-second presentations because he could tell that they were winging it and it wasn't really clear from the outside looking in what exactly that they did. So when you're given the opportunity to do a speaking engagement or even have just a quick little presentation about your business, it truly is important to make sure that you're polished and your message is refined so that you can have the intent and purpose that you wish to create.
I think that we often think that I know this content well. I'm talking, for example, at BNI about my own business. I know my business. I know everything about my business. So I can talk for 45 seconds easily about my business. But what inevitably happens is if I haven't prepared and rehearsed, when I stand up, I start to say like or or huh or just these other filler words that don't make me look as polished as I wanted to. Sometimes when you haven't rehearsed, you can have a lack of direction on where you're going. And I think that's what the BNI director was saying. He didn't even know what they did for a living after they talked, because you can kind of ramble sometimes if you're not polished and prepared. And also, the point you're trying to make may not get through to your audience. You want to have a precise takeaway that you want them to remember about what you said. And if it's not rehearsed and refined, then that point may not get across. So winging it just doesn't work most of the time. I don't care how experienced or great of a speaker you are in general. Rehearsal is key.
When you practice a presentation, it's going to increase your confidence significantly. Yesterday, when Brooke and I went to PodFest, we practiced right before we went on stage. And because of that practice, we had very minimal anxiety and we really looked confident to everyone around us.
And I'll tell you, the first time we rehearsed it out loud,
it sucked.
It would not have been something we would have wanted to have an audience witness. It just wasn't. You know, our slides were there. We had slides, so we were prepared in that sense. And I think this is what a lot of people think. I've got slides, so I know what to say. The slides are going to keep me on track and make sure that I get through this in a timely fashion and make my points. But what happens is if you don't rehearse it, then the slides have content on them. And if you haven't rehearsed it, you may not immediately recognize what example you were supposed to give or what point you wanted to make on that slide. And so you can get off track, or you might have to pause for a second to read the slide to figure out what was the message of this slide. And then you either are hesitating or you're reading the slide, neither of which is ideal. Do you love the Miss Biz podcast?
Because we love you.
Here's 3 things you can do to show your support.
1, write us a review. Apple, Spotify, and Google My Business are the best platforms to write a review.
2, follow us on social media. Our handle is @MissBizPodcast.
3, join our Facebook group, Miss Biz Nation, for exclusive content and behind-the-scenes footage. Also, ask questions related to your business and discuss topics from our episodes. You want to impress people, right? Especially if you're in a room full of others, you want people to perceive you in the best light, and you've spent all this time and effort and energy into preparing this. So why not practice it and polish your delivery? This is where you can work on your tone, you can work on your body language, and make sure that your pacing of the presentation is up to par with where you need to be.
As we're talking about this, in my mind, I keep thinking, this is just common sense. Everybody knows this, but they're not doing it. And I've witnessed this week after week after week in observing people giving presentations. It is abundantly clear that they know the material, but they haven't rehearsed their presentation of it. And so the presentation is lacking because they're not able to effectively convey it as well as they are capable. And so if this is just sounding like, yeah, no kidding, I know I need to practice, then are you doing it? Ask yourself, am I doing this? And if you are, then fast forward, because, but I'm just telling you, in having gone to a conference where we watched presenter after presenter after presenter on a big stage in front of a large audience, I think maybe 2 I can recall out of dozens appeared as if they had rehearsed.
It makes a significant difference. When you are practicing and rehearsing your speech, that's where you can spot the flaws, you can catch awkward phrasing and filler words. You can really be keen on how other people are observing you. And I understand, I get it. We're all creatures of habit, right? But you have to make yourself break out of that comfort zone and practice it and practice it and practice it. And even if you're confident in something, I am of the belief that there's always room for improvement somewhere. Nothing is ever going to be perfect. And maybe that's my type A personality, but there's always a way where you can grow and become better. So truly challenge yourself to be a better presenter and practice, practice, practice.
And I think maybe some people think, well, if I rehearse it too much, maybe it won't come across authentic. And I disagree with that. I think that you can plan what you want to say and practice it out loud, and it's still you. It's still natural and authentic to you. It's just more fluid and flowing well and organized thoughts. So I don't think it takes away from you being genuine and authentic to who you are. And also there's different forums in which people speak. In the podcast forum, for example, we're having a conversation. And so if we were to rehearse everything perfectly, that's not expected or necessary when you're giving a podcast. And so I think sometimes people think when they go on stage, that is the same. And if it's a panel discussion where someone's asking you a question, you're answering it, I think that's what's expected, the same as the podcast forum, that you are just having a conversation and you might have imperfections or stumble on your words a little bit. I think that's okay. But if you're giving a presentation, I don't care if it's 1 minute or an hour, you need to practice that out loud. You need to say those words many times before you get on that stage.
When it comes to social media, sometimes having a scheduling tool can be extremely helpful, but with so many different options, it's difficult to determine which one is best for your needs as well as your budget. That's why we created the Social Media Planner Comparison Chart.
Then you can look at all the different options and choose the one that's best for you. For your free copy, visit missbiz.com/contact and simply type into the subject line, Social Media Comparison Chart.
Yeah, you need to figure out how you're going to get people's attention, how you're going to keep people's attention, and how you're really going to truly connect with the audience. And you can practice in many different ways. You can practice in front of the mirror. I personally am a fan of video recording when I'm rehearsing, because then you can truly look back and see what your body language looks like. And I learned this when I was taking sign language for one of my degrees, and we had a skit where we had to tell this story about a fox. And with sign language, everything is very, very expressive. And when I was signing the story, I was like, wow, I don't really look very scared over here. Wow, I need to work on this a little bit more. And you don't really notice those things until you can watch yourself over and over and over again.
Yes, I like to time myself. I do voice recordings sometimes. My practice, because we have BNI meetings every week, and so I have to speak about my business for 45 seconds. And I drop my kids off at school and I have about a 15 to 20 minute drive until I get to my meeting. And that time is dedicated to rehearsing my 45 seconds. And I will always time myself, because I got to make sure I get all the information into 45 seconds. Sometimes the shorter the presentation, the harder it is to make it impactful in such a short period of time. So I always time myself, but sometimes I do the voice memo recording on my phone, because that also times it, but I can also listen back to it to hear my voice inflection, to hear any words that I may want to alter or change, or find any filler words, or sometimes I may be unnecessarily repeating something and I can figure out what I can cut from that presentation to keep it within the 45 seconds and still make my point.
I think that timing yourself is so important. And we saw that yesterday as well, when there was a lady on stage for 5 minutes. That was her speaking time. And she conveyed out loud, wow, 5 minutes is a long time. Wow, is this my last slide yet? And even though she was a great speaker, she was funny, she had a good story, you could tell based upon the way that the presentation was progressing that she just didn't practice it enough.
Yes, and as much as I think people empathized with her not being as polished with her presentation because she did comment, oh wow, when is this 5 minutes going to be over kind of thing, was the kind of tone in which she was saying those things. Had she just practiced it a few times, that would have been eliminated. That's all she needed to do. And I think she, like many of us, knew she was talking about her own podcast, which is very successful. She knows this content well. She has the slides to guide her. She just assumed it was going to come out as she had hoped. But maybe she got nervous. Maybe she just couldn't remember because she wrote the presentation a long time ago and she didn't remember what she was thinking at the time. We don't know, but we saw many people doing this where they just were not polished because they hadn't rehearsed it. And that's the key. They just hadn't rehearsed it. So I sound like a broken record, but I really want you to do this.
Practice makes perfect. And if you need help making your speech, we have an episode. It's episode 26. It's called Speak to Win, where you can learn about creating the key elements in creating an effective speech. But even if you have the speech created and it's well formatted, if you don't practice it, you're not going to get the most out of it. And that's truly what you want when you have the opportunity to make an impression, to get more business, to develop more relationships. You want people to receive the message and the point that you're trying to drive home. Finding guests for a podcast can be difficult sometimes, so Brooke and I wanted to let you guys know that we are available to appear on your podcast.
We also enjoy speaking at events, so if you have an event coming up, these jingles can go on the road.
Simply go to missbiz.com/contact and in the subject line, write podcast guest or event speaker, and we'll reach out to you to further coordinate.
The first time that I learned the importance of this was at a court hearing. I'm an attorney and I tend to over prepare for court hearings in terms of my research and my arguments. But at first, I didn't even realize that I should be rehearsing them out loud. And so I would go into the court hearing knowing what I wanted to say. And as soon as I started talking, it just didn't sound the way I envisioned it in my head. I was searching for words. And I realized that there is no substitute for rehearsing. I remember this as I'm saying this, that I one time had a hearing where my managing attorney came with me. And I was a young lawyer, probably not even 5 years into my experience. And he observed my court hearing. And later he said he was better at trials than me, but I was better at hearings. And he was better at trials because I hadn't done any trials at that point in my career. And he's done dozens and dozens of them, maybe hundreds at this point. But I didn't have a lot of trial experience at that point, but I did have a lot of hearing experience. And I said to him, the reason I am good at hearings and the secret is to rehearsing them out loud. That was it. And so many lawyers don't do it. You can tell immediately. They know their stuff. They've spent hours preparing for these hearings, and they just don't rehearse it out loud so it doesn't come across in an impressive way. So that was when I first learned it, but it has been reiterated in my life over and over again when I give presentations of any kind. And just please incorporate this into your business practices. It will make a world of difference. Another alternative, too, that some people do is they read their presentation. And, I think reading your presentation may be better than just winging it if you've never, like type 1 winging it, where you just don't think about it at all. And the presentations that people sometimes read when they're short, especially, sometimes are really well written and they have a really good message to them, but there is always going to be some loss of connection with your audience when you read as opposed to when you can make eye contact with them. And so reading is better than just straight up winging it, but the A+ presentation is going to be rehearsing it so that you can say it as fluidly as if you were reading, but you're not. And you can make eye contact and do facial expressions and just have body language and connection with your audience without reading.
We appreciate you and are honored to be on this journey with you. We can't wait to help you, to encourage you, and show you how to grow personally, professionally, and spiritually.
If you found Miss Biz helpful, please leave a review and share with others.
You can follow us on social media at Miss Biz Podcast.
For legal questions or services, please visit boltslegal.com.
And for digital marketing needs, please visit boltsmedia.com. Let's get biz done.